T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to the Play It By Ear podcast. The podcast where the topics may vary because, hey, we play it by ear. And now your hosts, Eric Fiskus, Brady Liming, and Todd Griffin.
Well, that would be Eric Fiskus and Todd Griffin.
Howdy, howdy.
Hello. Brady had some technical difficulties on his end. Hopefully at some point he can chime in. Maybe not. We'll see. But we are carrying the gauntlet and we're moving forward. So with the help of our audience, our 8 people in the room.
The show must go on.
Yes, the show must go on. Howard's with us, liking the new countdown. Yes, I made a comment. I don't know if you were here, Howard, but I said if I could find that lady that made that countdown, our voice of our intro and outro would be out of the job because I'd hire her to do the intro and outro. Sorry, Matt. I mean, her voice is different in a good way, right? No, I'm serious. Matt does a fine job for us. And actually, I think we need him to do some other things because we have a website now. We didn't have a website before, and probably could use another outro, I guess. Not so much an intro. I'm rambling now.
If we could combine the powers of Matt and the powers of that woman, whoever she may be.
I mean, that probably wouldn't even need us at that point.
I just want to say, just a countdown and an intro and an outro, and that's it. No in betwixt.
Yeah, they probably could just talk for the hour and a half, and we would be out of job. We would be the ones out of job.
Hello, Miss Wilson.
Hello. All right. So again, welcome to episode 54 of the Play It By Ear podcast, and we always invite you to visit our website, which is at the top of the screen. Todd,
you got the www.
Yes.
Play it by.
Go ahead.
PlayItByEarPodcast.com.
Yes. You can find all kinds of nifty little things on our website, and things you may want to know, things you maybe don't know about us, but it's all right there. You can find our audio and video feeds there. And a lot of other different things that we'll allude to as we go along. But that website is our home base. So anything you need to know, anything you need to find about the show, it is all right there. So, like I said, Brady is having difficulties, so we are going to go ahead, and it may just be a 2-topic show. We'll play it by ear. That's what we're doing.
That's right.
So, Todd, I've got us in order where I'm first, it doesn't matter who goes first. But
it doesn't matter to me either. We could either do it this way, or we could even you go a little bit on your topic, and then I'll go, and then back to you. It doesn't matter. We can.
That would truly be playing it by ear.
We can do anything we want to do.
All right, and I'm gonna throw you a curveball because, like we've said before, we have very slight discussions about what we might do when we get on the air, and we don't get too far into it. We allow that to happen on the show organically, as we always say. But I had told you I had something in mind. Now I've got something else in mind. So this will truly put you in a play-it-by-ear mode. So I've got this Oh, go ahead.
I just realized I didn't realize I was making my Robert De Niro face, but I was when you were talking. Yeah.
Is that Robert De Niro or is that what's his name? The Godfather.
Wow.
You know who I'm talking about.
I do know who you're talking about. Oddly enough, it was neither. I don't do an impersonation of either, but I realized for some reason I had just one of those in my face while you were talking. I don't know why I was doing that.
Oh, well, now Miss Wilson comes up with a question here. We would love that.
Ooh, yes.
That could be the third topic. If you have something, we can riff on it. We'll leave that for number 3, okay? Everyone in the room, we got 14 people in the room. We have a third topic tonight. Brady's not with us. But if you want to do an earbuds choice topic, we'll give you time to think. We'll do our 2, and then we'll get here toward the end. And
great idea, Miss Wilson.
Yes, outstanding. I thought about that, but I didn't know if people would be receptive to it. But I'm glad she brought it up. So maybe at least she has something in her mind that we could riff on. So I'll just go first since I'm over here on this side of the screen. So I have our ever trusty pod decks here, and I've talked about pod decks before, and it is an outstanding product for podcasters, and it is basically decks of cards with different topic ideas or questions, or again a lot of different angles you can take, because it's really for all podcasts. So some are sports related, some are politically related, some are just like us, we're just kind of all over the place. But I have a pod deck of hypothetical questions. So Todd, I guess you are answering the hypothetical questions, and of course our earbuds can always chime in on that, and we'll just go question by question here, and we can riff back and forth.
Are you able to answer your own hypothetical question?
Yeah, sure. Okay. I mean, there are no answers on the cards; they're just questions.
Oh, okay.
So awesome. We can all chime in. All right. I want to welcome a few other people. Jess Longacre is here with us, so welcome. And we'll go with the first hypothetical question here. If you could snap your fingers and make any one species go extinct, which species would you choose?
Well, snakes or spiders?
Oh, I'm very surprised at your answers. I thought for sure there would be one.
Well, there's another one too. It was third on my list. Sharks.
That's why I'm surprised by it. I figured sharks will be third on your list.
Here's why I put sharks below snakes and spiders. I am more afraid of sharks in that there's nothing to me more terrifying than a shark on this planet, but
because they are
inhuman.
Thank you.
Very inhuman. But again, I can keep myself from being attacked by a shark. I can stay out of the water. Snakes and spiders, they tend to come to your neck of the woods. They trespass to where
they get in your personal space.
Yeah, if you get attacked by a shark, you're the trespasser.
That is a very good point. One that immediately popped into my mind. Deer. And I'm sorry if we have any deer lovers in our audience of earbuds tonight. I personally do not see any redeeming factor about deer in today's day and age. Now, once upon a time, they provided sustenance for many a person on the frontier. However, their only predator at this point is my car. So I do not see what they do for us. So I believe if they were to go extinct, I don't know how we would be any worse.
But they're cute.
Oh, that's the worst. So ugly animals are fine to be extinct as long as they're cute.
Yes, there's nothing cute about a spider.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever said, "Look at that cute little baby spider." In fact,
Have
baby
you never
spiders.
You've seen Charlotte's Web.
But baby spiders are the stuff of nightmares. I stepped on a many years ago. I stepped on I tried to kill a spider. I stepped on it, and I like out of a movie. I stepped my foot down rapidly, and as soon as I hit it, out burst about 1,000 baby spiders, and I literally vomited and passed out right on the spot, right there in the pile of spiders. They would have carried me away and had me for lunch.
Did you pass out then vomit or vomit then pass
No,
out?
I just about did. I didn't do either one, but I felt like I could have either. I'm assuming, hopefully I would have vomited first and then passed out.
Oh, and the audience is strong tonight. Rob, welcome. Rob says
Hey, Rob.
mosquitoes. Certainly those who are looking to avoid disease, mosquitoes is a good call. Welcome to Ross.
Easy, Ross.
A mouse. Mouse.
That's a little inside joke between Ross and I and everybody else at Hillsborough Elementary School.
Gotcha. All right. Howard William was keep it non-political. Fair enough. Indeed. Joe Pilger says Tom Brady fans. I would not be opposed to that one either. Welcome. James hits a little bit closer to the Ohio State fans there, and I will say,
"Oh Lord, we're gonna have us a fight right here on the podcast."
We're just gonna have a throwdown right here. If you don't know James, he's a Michigan fan, a meat chicken fan. That's what the Ohio State people call him. Gary heard make anyone's feces go extinct. Well,
enunciate, Eric. Enunciate.
Yes, I do need to do better.
Any one species.
James also said driveway deer specifically. I know many people that have hit deer in their own driveway. I hit a deer about a month and a half ago within sight of my house as I was slowing down to go in my driveway. So I can relate to that. Jim says, hey guys, middle school boys. Again, I could see that. Maybe or maybe just kind of put them away, and you like maybe when they get around fourth grade, you can put them away and then put them back out when they get to be like, I don't know, sophomores or juniors. That in between is a little sketchy.
Or 40.
40, that's right. And Gary says we sound like Tin Can on his phone, so maybe it's not me, or it could be me. That's neat. You're right. I just need to enunciate better. Miss Wilson says her cooperating teacher at Indianola Junior High thought 8th graders should be put in deep freeze and then let out when they are 9th graders. Again, along the same lines.
So just a 1 year freeze.
1 year hiatus. Yeah, that is a Jim Stafford song. I remember that. I don't like spiders and snakes.
Did Kiss cover that?
Did they?
I did they? For some reason I was thinking.
Well,
Kiss
I don't know. Could have been. All right, then Joe says snakes, specifically snakes on planes, and Samuel L. Jackson would concur.
Yes, deer on planes isn't a big problem.
Not generally, no. All right, next question. If you could be invisible, but it would mean being permanently invisible, would you want to be?
Does it? I think it depends on your age.
I'll elaborate on that.
Well, let's see. What is average life expectancy for men?
Probably late 70s now.
77, 78.
Yeah.
So if I was getting close to the average life expectancy and I could be invisible for a while and live out the rest of my days invisible, yeah, I wouldn't mind that. But I think there's so much to ponder here, because are the people that you love and care about, are they aware that you're invisible? Like, are you still able to communicate with them? Like, you can hang out there and have a beer and have a talk, but you just can't be seen? Or when you say invisible, do you mean no one knows of your existence any longer?
I don't know. You've seen the movie Ghost.
Yes, I have.
Would it be something like that?
Huh. That's a tough question. I'm sticking by my answer. Although I don't know that I have the deep thoughts to explain it. But I think depending on your age, if I were young, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to stay invisible.
I guess I'm going to go more to the point of what is the financial wherewithal of an invisible person? Can I go about my business? Can I have my lifestyle being invisible? Because I think you'd have to be visible to do meaningful work, or maybe not. I don't know.
Well, again, do you, like you said, do you need money? Do you need pay? Does there need to be monetary gain from your work, or just feel good work? I mean, like you could go save a bunch of baby turtles if you were invisible or something, and if that's your, you probably could do all kinds of work invisible that to help out. But if you need paid, I guess unless your money can become invisible.
Or you could do really good work and get really good pay because you are invisible. I mean,
yeah, that's
think
true.
of all the spy work you can do and probably
yeah.
make millions of dollars. And Joe says, if you were invisible, would you go live at the White House under the radar? But I don't know if that would be at the top of my list. It would be interesting, I guess, to go through the White House while being invisible. I think I want to live there. Joe, welcome, Joe. He's cool with being as minimally seen as much as I work from home. Very good. Rob says he's going with no. That's strictly an on-demand superpower. Fair enough.
Point. Yeah.
Joe, you could probably mitigate the snakes on the plane problem if you were invisible. Of course, then could the snake bite you if you were invisible?
See, that's just it. I don't know that if I were invisible, I would be any less fearful of snakes. I think I would be just as afraid of them. Now, if they were invisible,
well, that's a whole thing, man.
Seeing the snake is the problem. If you could tell me that right outside my door there were 200 snakes somewhere hidden in my yard, and I wouldn't be afraid of them. But if I see just the tippity tip tail of one of them slither away, then I'm afraid of them.
All
they're
right.
there.
Okay, Howard says it didn't work out too well in the novel, so I say no. And I'm assuming you're referring to the Invisible Man. And you're correct. It did not work out well for him. Okay, next question. This is a good one. I think this will cause a lot of discussion because I've actually had this discussion with people myself. If people were required to post the bad as well as the good stuff that happened to them on social media, would social media platforms be more or less popular than they are now?
Oh, man. Do you have an answer first? I mean, you can take it first if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, I'll chime. I think very simply, no, they would not be as popular. I mean, if you were required to put the bad stuff on, because and obviously I'm not going to put any names on anything, but it seems to be that most people only put the good on, and to the point of a lot of, and maybe I don't know if it's just me, but you look at people and say, man, things are going well for them, like all the time, things go well for them. And it's just what you choose to put on, of course, but I think if people were required to put the bad stuff on too, I'm not so sure that people would use it as much.
Yeah, I can see that, and I would definitely agree that for the most part, people tend to put the good out there, fact or fiction, I might add, but there is a small population of social media user that tends to only put the bad out there.
True.
And again, I'm not being judgmental. It's just it's out there. So I don't know if the scales were to go the other way, because I definitely think it's heavier on the positive side. I think that maybe I agree. I think that most of the positive minded people would probably walk away.
Yeah. How do I say this? I think I've probably had this conversation with you before. and I tend to look at things. Obviously, I was an old government teacher, so I tend to look at things in that kind of lens, I guess. You talk about the First Amendment and people, saying things or whatever their ability is to say things, which, according to the Constitution, that's the government squelching your speech and not people being able to say whatever. But I'm always of the belief that you used to have to work a little harder to say things and get things out there than you do now. When people put things out, and then sometimes they put them out, I think, and then they go, whoops, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Where you left, and I had to bring you back in. I don't know what happened there.
I don't know either. It's interesting.
Anyway.
But I think I finished what I was saying. It's just there is a small fraction of negative social media users or posts out there, and I do think if it were tipped the other way and if it were primarily negative, I think that it would be less popular.
I would concur with that. So what does the audience say? What do the earbuds say? Ms. Wilson says, on my Facebook feed, there's a mixture of both, and I appreciate that. And
it's a nice balance.
As do I. Joe says, would be more popular with the bad. People love dirty laundry, according to Don Henley. Yes, that's a great philosopher, Don Henley. Gary Troutman, would you watch America's Saddest Videos? That's a valid question as well.
Only if Bob Saget would come back and host it.
Well, I thought it was America's Saddest Videos when he did host the funniest videos. I guess that's just me.
Oh, man, what's sad about people getting hit in the groin by wiffle ball bats?
getting hit in the groin by a wiffle ball bat? No, I just meant Saget was sad. I didn't mean the videos were. I always had a problem. I always had a problem with that show in that it didn't seem like the actual funniest videos won the prizes.
Well, I agree. The ones that won it were the setups. The you didn't believe them. You know what I mean? Again, you can't tell me that it didn't get to the point where it was the ones where they put a lot of work in. It was hoaxish.
So I mean, how did that work? Did the audience vote, or I never knew how it worked?
Yeah, the audience vote. I think they picked 3 finalists for each episode, and then the audience voted. But Bob Saget was not funny on that show. He was not funny on Full House, even though I loved Full House. No. But his stand-up is actually much funnier. He's a different comedian professionally than when it comes to his stand-up comedy than
much
his
more adult-oriented.
Yeah, much more adult-oriented.
All right.
Everybody knows that John Stamos was the reason why Full House was great. And Uncle Jesse and John Stamos.
Yep.
No, what was the other? Uncle Joey.
Joey. Dave Collier.
Dave Collier. Joey was his name. Yeah.
All right. Howard says, I think it would humanize social media. Think of the movie Ed TV. Everything he did was broadcast, warts and all. We saw exactly how human Ed was, in turn, how human we are. And maybe people would be more empathetic if you had to post your downfalls as well as your triumphs. Maybe it would bring out a more human element, like Howard says. That's a good point.
The thing is, though, that's a great point. Here's the problem, though. Society in general would never allow that to happen, because there would be 100 people beating you to the punch and posting your negativity, posting your negative things, posting your screw ups, posting your mistakes, so you wouldn't even get a chance to get on there and I guess wrestle with your demons publicly, or confess your mistakes, or because people would already be on there doing it for you.
So what's the old saying? Misery loves company. I think that holds true a lot of times as well. All right. Ms. Wilson says, recently during the COVID and presidential election, made posts were negative. I had distanced myself from it for a while to bring out the positive, and agreed with that as well. Facebook, honestly, Facebook doesn't tend to be as much of a cesspool of negativity as Twitter does. But
Twitter is
cesspool.
Yes.
Valid word.
Yeah.
But not to say there aren't any good things on there because there are. But,
Well, and it's like anything else. I mean, you know, and I'm a person who, you know, I enjoy a good political debate, and I post politically, and I've never unfriended anyone because I disagree with them, and you know, I've been unfriended many times, so that hasn't been reciprocated. But Twitter, I like because, you know, on Facebook, it's pretty much I try to stick to just my friends in real life, and then people that I have acquaintances over my life that I, you know, no longer talk to in person that much. But Twitter, I completely shape my Twitter feed around people who I want to make me positive. I deleted like almost everyone political on both sides on Twitter. I stick to the, you know, the whatever topics I'm into, what, you know, things like that. I do like that about Twitter. It's kind of easy to mold and shape.
Right. It's a good conduit for information.
Yeah.
Like you said, as long as you choose properly.
Mm-hmm.
Super Dave in the house. Where's the third stooge? I mean, your third member. Brady's having some technical issues.
How's it going, Super Dave?
And I would stay with the stooge. Yes, not member. Definitely a stooge. All right. Next question. If you could afford a live-in butler or maid, would you want one?
Yes. Easy.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if Say is listening tonight, but she would agree wholeheartedly. I mean,
now
I guess it's a bit hoity-toity, but
now I maybe you want to rethink.
Whoa, I do want to rethink that.
Live in.
No.
So you don't want Alice from the Brady Bunch in your house.
No.
All the time.
Although she made a mean meatloaf, didn't she? Sam the Butcher. If the boyfriend was coming over and bringing some prime cuts.
There you go.
But no, you're right. As soon as I said that and you started, I realized you said live in. So I would not want to live in.
Not that I want to color your answer there.
No, you're right. I didn't think it through. I was so excited about the fact of someone
cleaning up after.
Yeah.
And I guess, I kind of previewed my own answer there. Live in, no, not at all. And maybe it goes back to the social media thing. Maybe I want to, because I'm sure you've heard this before too, and probably people in the audience have heard this before. If you have someone who comes in and cleans your house, I mean, a lot of people do nowadays. Their whole services, you can find them on Facebook all over the place. People want to clean houses, but people who have to clean the house before the house cleaner comes.
Yeah.
I mean, totally can relate to that. Totally get it. And I guess that's why I don't even know if I would want a butler. To me, it's a lot of pressure because I certainly believe those people are not judgmental at all. I mean, I don't think they would clean your house if they didn't like what they were seeing in there, I guess. But
well, I mean, it isn't like you present to them a list of things they may find that could offend them. It's
they may find those on their own. I don't know. I don't have to give them a list.
They're probably hoping they don't find some things, and if they do, you probably would never see them again, and that's that. So
probably so. All right. So audience, Rob says without question. However, he does say live-in is an issue.
See, everybody's doing the same thing. You instantly like yes. And then
yes, no. Good reference.
And applesauce.
Brady Bunch reference for all you youngsters out there. Howard says, "What? No, Mr. Belvedere." I'm afraid. Yeah, there's another famous. Who are the famous live-in housekeepers? So there's Alice. There's Mr. Belvedere.
There's Jeffrey of Fresh Prince.
Correct. Lurch.
Yeah. There's the robot in Rocky. I can't remember which Rocky it was. Rocky 3? I think Rocky 3.
It was 3.
Or no, 4. It might have been 4. It was 4.
Was it 4?
I think so, yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I think it was 4. Maybe 3 and 4. I don't know. I can't think of any other Did Mams and George have a butler in Webster?
Not that I remember. Not a live-in one, anyway.
Gotcha.
All right, Gary, mixing the questions that live-in made invisible. That would change things, I think. At least, I mean, you wouldn't see someone being around you all the time anyway. Miss Wilson, if you're rich enough to have a maid, you should have enough to have a house big enough that a separate wing for them to live.
I thought of that, Miss Wilson. I did. I didn't.
And Wendy says, I definitely would when my kids were younger so I could enjoy them more, often feel guilty working, missing their younger years. That is the upside to all that. Johnny, welcome. John Whitney, yes, I clean before the cleaning company comes. I actually pay them just so I clean.
That's motivation there now.
Well, John, I mean, really, if you want to do that, you can give me the money and then you can still feel guilty and clean yourself. I mean, I'm totally up for that. I can be your muse here if that's what you want to do. By the way, I do want to compliment John as we have the past several weeks our new logo here above Todd's head. John designed that.
So we can ask John while we have him on here. John,
that's true.
Is Eric the one in the middle? And then if so, which one's Brady and which one's me? And if not, then I guess it's a moot point. But
well, he may not want to share that.
That's true.
That adds to the mystique, right?
But either way, fantastic logo, John. Can't wait to get that on some merch.
All right, Super Dave, Tony Danza.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
TV's Tony Danza.
Who's the boss? And why did Tony Danza, in every role he played, his name was Tony?
There are other actors like that. I can't think of it right now, but I know there have been other actors that had that same dynamic, and I always wondered that as well. Do you think it was written in his contract that he would not do a part unless his name was Tony?
You think he'd forget the name of his character if it wasn't something other than his own name?
I don't know.
All right, there's an older reference there, Miss Wilson. Mr. French from Family Affair. Todd, you may be too young to even remember that.
I do not.
Buffy and Sissy. I'm almost too young to remember that. See a couple of different Who's the Bosses there. Gary and Super Dave. Charles in Charge, yes. What was Charles a nanny or an au pair, or was I don't think he cleaned, did he? Maybe he did. I don't know.
He just solved problems.
Yes, because he was in charge of our days and our nights, according to the theme song.
So speaking of Twitter, one of my favorite Twitter buddies, good old Scott Baio.
Yeah. Jess Longacre, yes, Alice the Brady Bunch. Super Dave says the robot is from Rocky IV. So good call there, Todd. Miss Charles in Charge. Howard, you and I are in the way back group with Mr. French. Yes, like I said, I'm almost too young for that one. Benson. We forgot Benson. But Benson actually, he was not a butler in Benson. He was a butler in Soap. But then when the show Benson came out, he was actually like a government aide, like an aide to the governor of the state. So he certainly improved his lot in life. I don't know what job skills he got as a butler on Soap that made him into a government aide in Benson. Like I said, he improved his lot in life over the course of those two shows. Welcome, Aunt Diana. If you could afford a live-in maid, you could afford for her to have her separate quarters from the house, like above the garage.
Yeah, very much Miss Wilson's thinking as well. That's a good point.
Yeah. Yes. So, next question. Actually, I forgot to start the timers. we're beyond 20 minutes here, but
yeah, we're good. It's at the top. I see it. Is that timer right up the top? This is 34:34.
Yeah. Well, we were about 5 minutes in with the preliminaries. So we're probably about half hour into this, but we'll do a couple more here.
Keep them going. Yep.
All right. When would you be born if you could choose to be born at another time?
Oh, I am.
I'm going to put a few more up here while you muse on that one. Jeffrey on Fresh Prince, which we said. Miss Wilson, Rosie from the Jetsons, another one we forgot. famous maids.
If man, the '80s were pretty spectacular, both at my age and I think a little younger, or a little older. Sorry, you and Brady, a few years older than me. So that was a good time to be born. But I like when, and I'm trying to think of the decade, maybe the 50s, 60s. When was Mad Men? Was Mad Men in the 60s?
60s, early 60s, I believe.
When everybody was dressed up just to go to work.
Or to go to a baseball game.
To a baseball game, yeah. The men wore suits, hats, fedoras, newsboy hats. Everybody smoked a cigar or something. Not that was great, but looked cool. I always thought it would be cool. Now, granted, I could wear a suit now every day to work, and I don't. So therefore, I don't know. I don't know that I would have fit in. But also, I just enjoyed. I would have loved to have been like a teenager in the 50s, like being a big Buddy Holly fan. I just picture like cruising around in my car listening to Buddy Holly. I think that would have been a good time. So again, I'm trying to put together the years and do math, which isn't my strength. But see, Buddy Holly died in 1950.
59, wasn't it?
59.
It was a plane crash. I think it was 50.
Yeah, 59, 50. Either way, so born sometime in the late 40s, early 50s, around there. See, my dad was born in 45, so that would have been a pretty good age to get to experience Buddy Holly when he was alive. Usually I trace things like that back to music.
Right.
So that's why I go back to Buddy Holly. But again, the 80s were pretty spectacular. So
I would be interested to know. Seems like every depiction of the 50s in TV, movies, very similar. So I know we have some people in the room that are older than us. I don't know that I don't think we have anyone in here that were in their formative years in the 50s, but was it really, like in Happy Days? You went to Arnold, you hung out, like you said, you cruised around in your car, listen to music. Was it really like that?
That's what I picture. You're right. Buddy Holly died in 59. So like I said, my dad was born. So my dad would have been about 14 when Buddy Holly died. It had to have been that way, right? I think it was portrayed. I'm sure there's a little bit of embellishment, when it's being portrayed years later. But the movie, That Thing You Do. I don't know if you remember that movie or not. And there's a scene in that movie that it just, both as a musician who spent many years trying to make it and get the record deals and sending out demos to labels and never hearing anything back and stuff like that. So that movie kind of had it had a soft spot for that movie. But there's a scene where they are, they have their song, That Thing You Do. They have, and they're driving through town, and their song comes on the radio. And they all run into the store that the drummer's dad and family owns, the appliance store. And they all run in there, and they go and they turn up all the the old fashioned radios. They crank them up and they listen to their song, and everybody's excited. And to me, that's just that embellishes, or that's the epitome of what that time would have been like. So just
right.
It could be all wrong, but
I'm going to put a caveat on it. I would have to be born into whatever era I chose without knowing what I was missing out on by not being born when I was.
True.
So if I'm born, like you said, in the 50s, and I'm thinking, well, I don't have a cell phone, I don't have this, I don't have that. It would be much more miserable, I think. So if I could just wash all of my memories away of my current existence and be born somewhere else, I would be good with that. With that being said, probably around the same sort of reason you said what you said, I think it would have been very interesting to live in the 20s, like during Prohibition. Again, just to see if like you heard about speakeasies in places like Chicago and illegal alcohol. And I mean, was there illegal alcohol sold in Sardinia in the 20s? I mean,
Well,
was it?
that's interesting because we did a tour one time, and it was one of those walking tours. Is down in Newport,
Yeah,
and I
it's
learned
a very
something.
happening place back
It
then.
was. I mean, it was pretty much like mini Las Vegas,
Yeah.
and you had shootouts on the streets, and you had Frank Sinatra and Marilyn Monroe, people like that, just like walking down the street, going, it's
Yeah.
and to me that just seems surreal to think about, like a little miniature Vegas or Hollywood or something there, right in Newport.
Right.
So I'm
All
assuming
right.
I'm assuming I'm assuming there was illegal alcohol in Sardinia.
But probably, or was it like moonshine or something?
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's see. When was Sardinia founded?
1833,
1833.
33 or 30 years after Ohio became a state.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, I'm guessing it would be neat if somebody probably has that history out there somewhere. They could chime
Probably
in.
so. All right. Do we want to do one more?
Sure.
Okay, we'll do one more. What would be the first few things you would try if you found out you were completely impervious to physical harm?
Wow. That's a tough one, man. I think probably something that people do now that aren't impervious to pain. You know what I mean? Like people, like I am not an extreme liver. I'm not the body part liver. I'm not an extreme. I don't live an extreme life. I don't jump. You couldn't pay me enough to skydive or bungee jump and things like that. So maybe, and strictly the reason I don't do it is I don't want to die. I don't want to get hurt. Although, if you died skydiving, you probably wouldn't feel much. But I think I would try something like that. Something that maybe that people much ballsier than I try right now when they are susceptible to pain and death.
That's true. I mean, some people get a big thrill out of putting themselves in harm's way, and I'm like you. I'm not one of those people. I only try to keep my feet on the ground.
And your head above your anus. Wasn't that
right.
your reason you wouldn't ride roller coasters?
That's my rule. And we've talked about that on this show before, that as one of my standing rules, I never put my rear end above my head. It always must stay the other way around, my head above my rear end. So those things being said, if I were impervious to physical harm, we're getting very good answers from the audience. Stop a Bullet says Super Dave. Joe says skydive without a chute. And Gary, try about everything but start small to prove there is no pain. I think I'd go on that one there. We'll start with something minute and then work our way up. And Howard said I would go back in time and sass my mother. Something I never had the guts, disrespectful attitude to do way back, because she would put some pain on you. I have no doubt about that. All right, so the question has been answered. Not the question we just asked, but the question we asked previously to John. And I have to admit I'm shocked by this. I believe you will be shocked as well. John says from left to right, oh, I clicked on the wrong one then. From left to right on our logo, Todd, Brady, and me.
Ah. I can kind of see it. I see it. So my left, like if I'm looking at
the logo.
Looking at the logo.
Left is you.
Yeah.
Middle is Brady. I'm on the right.
I can see it. The hairstyles kind of give it away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see that. Thanks for explaining, John.
Yes. I thought he would keep the mystique.
Yeah.
Say something like, well, you can put whoever you want.
I think I like the fact that there is an order, though. There was a
there's a thought process.
There was a thought process to it, yeah. And again, I can see it. Now that he told me, I can definitely see it.
Yeah. Now you can't unsee it.
Yeah. Well, we just assumed Eric was in the center because Eric is the host. Eric is the hostess with the mostest. But it makes sense looking at it again. The head shapes kind of. I see it. Right. I see it. John, I think I mentioned before. I think I told you that the only thing Celia says you should have put my hair horn in mine. That my kids always say I have a unicorn head or haircut.
Your Andy Dalton hair horn.
Yes, except I wore it before Andy Dalton. I'm older than Andy Dalton.
No, that's true.
God, that makes me feel old. That is something you gauge your age by professional athletes.
All the professional athletes got younger than me a long time ago.
Yeah.
All right. Wifey says running with the Bulls if I knew I wouldn't get hurt. But, of course, again, a lot of people do that just getting hurt or not. Uncle Danny says alcohol is bootlegged in Sardinia, but doesn't know of anyone doing it after the 70s. So I wonder if that was like a moonshine sort of thing. Yeah. Because, in places like Chicago, the speakeasies, you would just kind of go to this secret place and get like regular old alcohol. But, I think in the rural areas, it's more like run and shine and things like that. So I'm assuming out here it's probably like run and shine. Again, I could be wrong. I wasn't alive. Miss Wilson's been scientifically proven that thrill seekers brains get extra boost from the thrills. It's the old adrenaline rush from the thrill seeking.
Yeah. And I thank you to Uncle Danny for chiming in, by the way.
Yeah.
I was glad to get some input on that. I knew somebody would know.
I'll have to say I don't know what this is, Becky. What the Dalton swoop? What is that?
The hair. Talking about the
hair. The hair. Okay, I got you. I thought that was something she'd do if she didn't feel pain. I'm like, what is the Dalton swoop? All right, I believe that will suffice for topic number 1. All right, we do want to again invite you to go to our website and look into our memberships. Memberships support our work in the podcast. For more information, go to our website, playitbyyourpodcast.com/support. And if you go to the website, and I had this epiphany last week that I could actually share what the website looks like. And I keep talking about it, so I'm going to share it so I can show it to you. I can get to the proper tab. Okay, so there's our website, and you see the above, right under our logo, our new logo, you see the different menus for the website, and there's one there in the middle called membership/support. And if you go there, you will find, click onto it. You will see something called Buy Me a Coffee there at the bottom. That is our crowdsourcing platform where the memberships are taken care of. But again, you can help support the work we do here on the podcast. And we do have our Earbud Hall of Fame who are our members, and they're listed there on the website. It's kind of small, so I'll put it on the bottom of the screen as well. We thank our members, actually, one of which is in the room right now, or 3 of them. The Rockies, Joe and Christina. Jessica Longacre is also in the room, as well as Chuck Griffin and Allison Chavis. I think Allison, according, again, we look at social media. We had that question earlier about people putting the fun things they do on social media. I think Allison's on vacation, so she may not be with us tonight. She's usually with us.
I know my dad listens on YouTube.
Yeah. So thanks to all of you for your support. Even all of you for your support, just being here in the room with us certainly helps us out, and doing what we do makes it better.
So, kind of funny story. I was having dinner the other day with my folks, and my dad. We've talked lots about my dad on the show, and he never misses an episode, and big fan. And my mom listens, I think, off and on, but I don't know that she had listened all that much. And then I got scolded the other day at dinner for cursing on the podcast. So it's
By your mother?
yes, by my mother. And but so then I had to I was like, hey, she said, why are you the only one that cusses?
You're the bad boy.
I said, does that surprise you? But no, I said, why don't we keep it TV-14? We don't curse unnecessarily. I mean, it's one of those things where probably very lucky that that's all that comes out. But it was a little bit funny getting at 44 years old or 43 getting yelled at by my mom at dinner for cussing on air.
Did she grab you by the nape of the neck or by the earlobe?
No. But
Give you a little rogering there?
I think it was her way of saying I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
that's what I heard. She said stop cussing. Thinking. I heard I'm proud of you.
All right.
I told her I would try to do better.
Try.
Well, and then I get it from Celia the other day. We were going for a walk, and she listens to the episodes while we're walking, and a lot of times that's how I re-listen to them as well, because she doesn't use headphones. She just blares our podcast on her phone as we're walking down our street, and she's like, "You have said ass 4 times in this segment, Todd. What is going on?" I'm like, I don't try to think of what I'm going to say. I'm not, like 10 trying to cuss to, be cool or cool. Yeah, it just kind of rolls out.
What's up, Joey? From the
How's it going?
Table Degenerates podcast. Welcome. All right. Todd, you're up.
All right. So we have a segment that Eric, usually Eric mans this segment, and I think I did it a couple weeks back, the Am I the Asshole? Am I the Anuse? It goes by a couple different names. And that is something where it's a Reddit feed, where Reddit, I don't know what you call it, Reddit post, a subreddit, yeah, where people kind of give these stories, these situations that they're in, and your host and the audience chime in about whether we believe that person is in the wrong or not, and if they are, then they are the anuse, they are the asshole. But there's something kind of like that I found on Twitter, a Twitter page, and but we don't really judge as far as if the person is the jerk or not. But we definitely can chime in here. So I kind of thought I would read some of those tonight, and they vary on topic. The topics vary. Some of them are a little more, I don't know, what do you want to call them? Risque. Adolescent. Not even risque as much as some of them are just a little potty humor, I guess, than others, but I'll try to kind of keep it a nice variety for those of you who do not like that, but I have some in case you do like that kind of stuff. The first one I have here says, and a lot of times they have titles at the top, like the Twitter post will have a title, and this one says, I, 20-year-old male, saw my stepdad, 50-year-old male, eating a whole pineapple in the nude at 3 a.m., and he's telling me it didn't happen. It says, a few nights ago, I got up to get a cold drink from downstairs because I was thirsty. I do this often, and I usually go to the kitchen because the water from the refrigerator is filtered. However, when I got there, I saw my stepfather, Alan, from behind, totally nude. I didn't really process this at first. He turned around, and I saw he was cutting up a pineapple. I was so freaked out that I left the room and went back to bed. This morning, I told my mom to please tell Alan to wear clothes if he's going out of the bedroom. Well, she said, Alan doesn't sleep naked. I said, yes, he does. He was nude eating pineapple in the kitchen last night. Alan confronted me and said it never happened. Then he said I either lied or I was sleep hallucinating. But it definitely happened. I don't know why he's denying it. I looked in our trash and there's no pineapple there. So whatever he did with the pineapple carcass is a mystery. That said, he definitely did it. My mom is asking me to apologize, and I think they both think I did this to cause problems in their marriage, but I really did not. I'm just not sure what to do. So what advice would we have for this young gentleman here who saw his dad naked eating pineapple?
Did he use the word carcass for the pineapple?
He did, yeah.
Points for that.
I was going to say, that sounds like a play it by ear-ism.
Yeah.
So first off, go ahead. Sorry, I read. You chime in.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I would be more willing to address the situation if I were a 20-year-old male than myself now being a 49-year-old male. I'd be like, yeah, maybe I should just let that go. I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts in this whole situation. Eating pineapple in the nude. That sounds like a 70s love song. I don't know. But me, personally speaking, I probably would just, let it ride. I don't know that it needs addressing any more than bringing it up. And then there was denial. And well, okay. Maybe you sleepwalk. Maybe, something's going on there. And I don't really need to be privy to it. I guess I would just be more apt to look around corners before I walk into a room.
And don't touch the pineapple.
Right.
I think one of the things that I imagine to me was, first off, I have some firsthand experience with this. I had something like this happen when I was, actually I was about the same age, except it wasn't a relative or my first apartment when I graduated high school. I had a roommate, and we had a one-bedroom apartment. We couldn't afford. We had a one-bedroom apartment, but I had a pull-out couch, is where I slept, and he got the bedroom, and so. I wake up one night in the middle of the night and because I hear something, and I look in the kitchen and the moonlight is shining into the window, and I see my roommate standing there buck naked at the refrigerator, which oddly enough was not the worst part. The worst part was he was drinking our milk right out of the jug, standing there naked doing that. But it wasn't like we had separate milk cartons. It wasn't like he had his name sharpied onto the milk carton. It was I'm doing this naked at night while you're asleep. You are none the wiser, and you might wake up and drink the same milk that I stood there and drank naked.
I guess another thing that came to my mind was if some errant pineapple juice hit the wrong place here, that guy's in a world of hurt. But I guess that's more of what you think about when you're my age than when you're 20.
Yeah, I don't know why that makes the story that much funnier. The fact that he was eating pineapple, and he said he was at least he was cutting up the pineapple. He wasn't just like
eating it like an apple or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so several audience members chimed in. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, you're fine.
Miss Wilson was stepdad Shaggy. I guess that was the same sort of reference that Howard makes. Sounds like before bed. That Alan smoked too much weed while watching Moana and got the munchies. So, guessing the Shaggy reference was a marijuana reference. Gary says, advice, why is he talking about this? I'm with Eric. I'm there too. I just, really just kind of let that one lay there. And Mrs. Wilson, why would this cause marital split? It was a guy seeing another guy who cares unless they're trying to convince the kid he is crazy to get him to move out for his sanity. That could be.
Might be onto something there.
All right.
I
believe I've given my opinion as to what that might entail there.
All right. Ready for the next one?
Yes.
And I'll edit these the best I can. I think my girlfriend, and this is a 28-year, they always put their age here. I think my girlfriend, this is a 28-year-old male, my girlfriend, 25-year-old female, wipes her butt with a magic eraser. All right, here we go. My girlfriend, who is a beautiful person, recently moved in with me after 2 years of dating. This is the most I've ever been around her besides the few trips we took as a couple before living together, and for the most part, it has been great. The first time we stayed overnight someplace, I remember spotting a couple magic erasers in her purse. It struck me as odd, but
now you give me a pass.
It struck me as odd, but I didn't want to be rude, and I figured she just brought them to wipe down any dirty surfaces in the room. But the thing is, I never saw her clean anything on any trips, despite the magic erasers nestled in her purse. One time, I even purposely spilled a beer on the floor to test her, and all she offered was the hotel toilet paper. I felt bad after and told myself it was none of my business. But now she lives with me, and I can't help but notice that there's a stack of magic erasers in the cabinet under the sink. Like way more magic erasers than anybody would ever need, unless, of course, they're wiping their butt with them.
Of course, you directly go to that.
Of course. To be fair, she does keep the bathroom pristine, but her body is pristine as well, so you see the problem. It's maddening. I even this cracks me up. I even left a tiny dot on the toilet paper in the bathroom to see if she's used it, and it hasn't moved a centimeter. All this while the magic eraser stash under the cabinet steadily depletes. I mean, what the heck do I do? This sounds like insanity. But the truth is, right in front of my eyes, what do I say to her? Is a woman's personal hygiene something I should even talk about? I wish I had a magic eraser for this whole crappy situation.
So,
the end.
I guess, again, I go back to, if you love someone, I'm sure there are things that the young man in our story does that makes his significant other question him. And maybe she has written another scenario in your list of scenarios there about him. However, is it substantially affecting their relationship even if she uses a magic eraser for personal hygiene purposes?
Well, I mean, I could see him being concerned with her health. I mean, is that healthy? I mean, don't they have chemicals in them?
I guess I would also say that if you're in a situation where you're living with someone, you probably have seen or been able to survey said situation to know if her health is in danger or not. So it just seems as though our friend in the story here just has a problem with how she chooses to clean herself up.
I mean, I know I see what those things do to my Chuck Taylor sneakers. I mean,
but again, would he not notice that there was something awry in that area, so to speak?
Well, I don't know. I mean, also, I think if you've been living together, let's say 2 years, living together 2 years, or no, they've been dating 2 years.
I don't think this is Jack Tripper and Chrissy Snow in Three's Company. I think they're living together because it's a much more intimate nature than just ordinary roommates.
Don't you think that if you were at the point in your relationship where you had moved in together, don't you think you would just ask? I mean, don't you think that would be something that both of you would talk about? I mean,
I have been married to my wife for 10 years, and the ever-present question of do you use a magic eraser to perform personal hygiene does not yet come up.
But if you saw stacks of them, if you saw stacks of them disappearing at that rate, though, and no toilet paper being used, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but I also don't think you can blame this guy for being curious. At the very least, you would think he would just say, "Hey, I've noticed that we go through a lot of magic erasers. What's up with that?" I mean,
it's a sticky situation, so to speak. So our audience, and I have shown my musical ignorance here. I have 3 boom, boom, boom comments. Yes, it was a song by Shaggy, Wasn't Me. That was the Shaggy reference.
Yes.
Not Scooby-Doo's Shaggy smoking the plant. The song. So yes, I apologize for my musical ignorance. Sabrina chimes in also with Shaggy. Welcome, Sabrina. Your first comment of the evening. John says the magic erasers are for the mirror. Could be. Howard, is she a blonde? And did someone tell her she could erase her hiney? Sorry for the. Gary's solution: new magic eraser sheets.
There you go.
Yes.
Or a roll of a magic eraser material.
Right. Miss Wilson, I think it's funny that she used the hotel TP to clean the beer spill. That should have been a clue there.
Yes.
TP is not the best medium to clean up liquid spills. The biggest problem would be if she's flushing. It can cause a problem, especially if he has a septic system.
So, and also, they're reusable. So the magic erasers, is she reusing them? Is she? Apparently not, if he's noticing them disappearing.
Howard says, seriously, maybe it's an alternative to bleaching that special area.
See, Howard, that's what I was going with on my Chuck Taylors. It makes the rubber sole as white as can be.
John says, I just ordered some on Amazon. Was that after our conversation here, John, or before?
Man, I have a feeling you're going to be awful itchy the next time we meet for lunch, John.
Oh, these are priceless. Thank you, earbuds. You had our take on things.
Let's do one here that's not. It's a little more, not quite as toilet humorish. 58 male dad here. My daughter, 27 female, is married to her high school sweetheart, 28 male. And they are together they've been together since almost a decade now and expecting their first child in September. He does landscape designing, and my wife and I hired him to do our backyard last month. He's been visiting regularly and working on it since a month. He sleeps in our house in the afternoon for a quick nap, post-lunch, and then gets to work immediately post his rest. Guy uses the word post a lot. That's an odd way to word things. 3 days ago, he lay down to sleep in our living room for his afternoon nap, and my wife told me to give him a blanket. I walked into the living area to give him the comforter, but he was already asleep by then. I started to return to my bedroom on the floor above when his mobile, which was at least they must be British or something.
Yeah.
Which was on the side table, vibrated. It lit up, and the screen notification bar flashed 3 messages from an unknown number, back to back in a row. Of course, I didn't mean to read them, but human tendency, I suppose, made me look. Message 1, you have to rip it off like a Band-Aid. Message 2, you have to tell all of them what you did someday. I can't carry your secret anymore. 3, it's going to come out soon. It will be everywhere. Better she finds out from you. Those were the 3 messages. Now, I'd been carrying this heavy feeling in my chest since the past 72 hours, and I can't tell my wife about it. She has heart disease. I can't talk to my daughter. She's pregnant. I thought it was infidelity at first, but now I am starting to doubt it. I am praying for it to be infidelity, seriously. But the pronouns and the messages are making my hair stand on end. I haven't slept soundly since 3 days, so the only logical thing left for me to do was to ask my son-in-law, which I did this morning. He flat out denied everything. He scrolled his phone in front of me and said he literally doesn't know what this is about. He said he doesn't know what I'm talking about, and it didn't seem like he was acting. He was totally calm, composed, unsurprised. He continued with his work nonchalantly and didn't seem taken back or perturbed at all. He worked all day long and didn't seem disturbed at all. What should I do at this point?
So he's still in question as to what this is in reference to.
Yeah, the funny thing was on the Twitter site, the very first comment just said, "Yo, he a serial killer." Which is what I was thinking as well. Is it talking about? So I would like to hear from our earbuds and ask, first off, we could obviously chime in on how to help this guy out, but more importantly, what are you guys thinking those messages may be?
Rip it off like a Band-Aid. So I guess that would, in reference to, you just have to tell. You just have to bring it up. You can't beat around the bush. You just have to tell.
Yeah.
John says he thinks it's the same guy who eats pineapple. Could be. That may be what he just has to rip off, and just it's going to come out, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Howard says the dad should leave it where it is. He's done all he can. Not his circus, not his monkey. True. But I guess you do have a daughter who is getting ready to have your grandchild, who is married to this person. Now you have serious questions about, at least as to what their activities were. I don't know, it was prior to marrying your daughter or what, or in concurrence with the marriage to your daughter. That would be a tough one. I don't even know if I have an answer for that. I don't even know if I tell the guy what to do. I think it's just a thing of you just had to be there. And if you were in the situation, I don't know what to say to tell you to do.
I don't know either. I mean, he asked the guy, I guess if he wanted to do a little, I don't know. That's an invasion of privacy. Say if he wanted to do a little more sleuth work, he could maybe find out the people who send him and ask them. But again, for his daughter. But I think the guy. But ask me what I think the guy is what his friends are talking to him about or whatever. I'm thinking it's some sort of like crime, like or some sort of like white collar crime. For some reason, I'm thinking it's embezzlement. He stole, or well, it said did it say he did landscaping? So maybe he stole from like a, maybe he stole some.
The Evans Landscaping down in Cincinnati, he got brought up on federal charges. Maybe
that's true.
Something like that.
Yeah,
could be onto something there.
That's my guess. I think if it were something like murder or something, I don't think I don't think people will be just sending text messages.
But I think Miss Wilson comes up with a good question here, which would the guy have expressed surprise of getting these strange texts from the strange number? Because if you're getting text from a number and you've gotten text from that number before, it may not have a name attached to the number, but there would be previous texts. So were these the first 3 texts that came from that number, and would the guy even know who it was? Because it's not in his contacts, it's just a phone number.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe they were erroneous. Maybe they were meant for somebody else.
That's true. Could have been a wrong number. Interesting.
Of course, Joe says maybe he just has a really big cut with a big Band-Aid on it.
Maybe so.
So,
all right.
Again, a tough situation. I guess you can only go with the word of the person who you ask. I guess doesn't sound like he has any other reason to disbelieve the guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Seems he was okay with him up to that point.
It almost seems though like the guy, the son or the future, the son-in-law. It seemed like he did act a little bit strange though, in that number one, I think you were saying this, like you would be interested in knowing where or Miss Wilson said it, you would be interested in knowing where they came from, or you at least would have said like, it's probably the wrong number or something, but just to act like I don't know what you're talking about, almost like what messages, what, I don't even know, almost like to just act like they didn't even exist seems a little strange. But next one we have first romantic weekend away with new boyfriend, 24 male, and he sent me a spreadsheet breakdown cost of everything and exactly how much I owe him. I'm going to preface this story by saying that my boyfriend and I are both in professional jobs on decent salaries, so money is not tight. Since the beginning, I have insisted on always going halves on any dates, so there is no cause for tension there. We've been dating for a few months, exclusively together for 3 weeks, and this is our first weekend away together. We're just going to a nearby town, 1 hour travel time, staying in an Airbnb and visiting one tourist attraction. Not an extravagant trip by any means. Although it seems he's excited to go, he was a bit hesitant at first and nervously asked, "But what if we break up before the trip?" I found this to be a huge mood killer given we are in the honeymoon phase of our relationship. But I told him that as the trip is only overnight and relatively inexpensive, it wouldn't really matter if we just canceled it if it came to it, or I could take a friend. A few days later, I messaged him to suggest a restaurant I thought we could visit on the trip, and he said, very nice but super expensive as well. And I suggested we got takeaways instead. So I dropped the idea. Oh, and he suggested we get takeaways instead. So I dropped the idea as it wasn't worth fighting. Then he sent me a message explaining how he'd broken down the cost of the weekend so he could book the Airbnb, transport tickets, and tickets to the tourist attraction. He'd attached a spreadsheet with our names on it, literally breaking down the cost of everything to the cent, with the final add-up of everything telling me I owed him $167.99. I'm not tight with money at all and would happily have just given him $200 to cover my share of the weekend or book some things each and let it all balance out without the need to quibble over minor costs like this. He's an accountant, so I get that he kind of does spreadsheets for a living, but this has ruined the vibe of the weekend for me. I'm his new girlfriend going on a romantic weekend away, not a client to send an invoice outlining every cent. It feels so procedural. Am I right to feel this way? Or am I right to feel that this is weird / unreasonable?
Okay. You can tell me if I'm wrong or if I misheard something here, but did she not say right at the beginning of this whole thing that she wrote, and I'm paraphrasing, I made it clear that I wanted to split the cost of things?
To take that further, you did hear that correctly. She actually said that it's what they typically do. It's their typical practice. She said from the beginning that she has always insisted that she split everything. But to play devil's advocate, she was not complaining about having to split it, because she even said she would have gladly done it. She was complaining about getting the spreadsheet with everything broken down, making it so procedural.
Okay. I would assume, of course, you know what they say about assuming. Generally, the dates entail places you go where you know the exact cost of what you're doing. Like you are getting a bill at a restaurant, for example. You're going to the movies, and each ticket costs a certain amount of money that everyone knows. So if you're doing something off the cuff, like staying at Airbnb, which there could be costs that are incurred that may not be in the original price, let's say, and you have a desire to split the cost of things, and the costs are fluid, and you don't know them till the activities are completed, would you not break them down just so she knows, hey, I'm not trying to fleece you here. I'm just showing you, here's what we each are paying, and this is what we did. Yeah.
Another thing here is she's acting as if they've been, together for years. It's the third official week they've dated, or the third official week they've exclusively been together. So I kind of agree with you. I mean, do I think it's a bit nerdy? Yeah. I mean, but if you work with numbers and math and monetary, figures and invoices and spreadsheets, then it's just your nature. I mean, I'm assuming it's probably something about him that she likes that draws her to him, or draws him to her.
So would she have been better with it if he said, just give me $200? Yeah. Sounds like she would have been fine with that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but you don't get all bent out of shape because you're dating a songwriter and then he writes a song about you. You know what I mean? It's like he's using his, that's the way his brain works.
Or to take that one further, you don't get bent out of shape if you are dating Weird Al Yankovic and he writes a funny song about you, and it wasn't romantic.
Yeah, exactly.
Am I right?
You're right. Yeah. So I definitely kind of side with him, and I'm like you. It's funny because the Twitter replies to these, the people usually they just destroy them. I mean, they don't have much mercy on these, and it's kind of funny to see. But a lot of times I'm kind of like, I agree with them. I wouldn't be so harsh in my reply if I were replying. But yeah, I think she's just complaining about much ado about nothing.
Yes. All right. So earbuds. Howard says she needs to remove, quote, honeymoon phase, unquote, from her vocabulary because this romance bus has just broken down.
Nice.
John just says, beat it, nerd. Right to the point. Ms. Wilson, if she has a problem with his MO, then she needs to go to the, quote, divorce phase.
That's week 4, Ms. Wilson. If the honeymoon phase is week 3 of your relationship, then week 4 is the divorce stage.
Yes, that would be the splitting of the costs in court, right? The divorce phase. Matt Vaughn, the voice.
Hello, Matt Vaughn.
Intro and outro. Yep, relationships are about emotion, not logic. Breaking out the calculator and showing your math does not.
Eric, I think people disagree with us here, man.
I think people are disagreeing with us. Sabrina says songs are romantic, invoices are not romantic.
Yeah, Sabrina, I will admit that was not a very good comparison there. As soon as I said it, I went with what I know. I mean, but it's one of those things where I guess what I was trying to say is that you don't find yourself attracted to someone knowing what they do for a living, and then all of a sudden find yourself not liking the way their brain works, because that's pretty much how he.
But yeah, I'm going to push back here, because she would have been fine with him saying, just give me $200, instead of him handing her the exact cost of, because like you said, Todd, that's the way his brain works. He feels he's doing her a favor. No, I'm not going to take an extra $30 from you just because I'm I'm spitballing this here.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you exactly what we did, and I think, maybe she would see that as a positive. Like, hey, this guy pays attention to the details.
Yeah.
That's a positive thing.
It's one of those things where she says herself that she and again, she kind of, had she not opened with the way she did by saying, I insist that I pay half of everything,
Right.
she can't then fault him for the way his brain wraps around the whole idea of them splitting the cost of it. I mean, maybe he's like me. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. He works with numbers, but I mean, I would need to write it out just so I could remember it,
Right.
But either way, I put it this way. I don't think it's something worth like stopping the relationship over 3 weeks into this relationship. But, if you're going to Twitter to ask for relationship advice on week 3, you probably are doomed anyway. So
one GPA and I need that.
That is correct. All right. We're and again, I forgot to start the timer. I figured we were going a little over 20 minutes, and so only the two of us, but we did have a request to maybe do an earbud topic. So I don't know if what we want to do with this particular topic, if there's another one you want to do there, or
yeah, I'll do one more maybe. I'll go back to the.
And by the way, I will throw that out there. Some of you have entered the room since we talked about it originally, but we had a request, since there's only the two of us here, and we had 2 topics, that maybe you all in the audience could come up with a third topic, and we could talk about that. Joey has a question. What do we do with Brady's body? Well, you'll never know, Joe.
All right, this next one is short but sweet.
Okay, I want to put Sabrina's up here first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She has a kind of a comparison. Since
Yeah.
her boyfriend is in finance, and they split almost everything just like them. It's one thing to show me a receipt when we go halvesies, but he's never made me a whole spreadsheet for any of our vacations. I feel like it would kind of sap the romance on it.
And Sabrina, I think you just actually drew my attention to a good point in that, and now I think I'm changing my opinion, because she had a good point about the end, the whole romance thing, and I think a few others alluded to that as well. I do agree that it would sap the romance out of the situation, so I think he should have given it to her after. He should have given her the spreadsheet after, because of what she just said. I mean, it does take away the romantic side of it. So I see the other side of that now.
I guess it's akin to sliding the bill under the hotel room door.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yep. Good.
Fair
point.
enough.
Thank you, Sabrina. This next one is for the guys, maybe, in our audience, and it's titled, "At what point is it acceptable to fart in her presence?" And I don't even want to guess how old the person that wrote this, and I have to edit it down quite a bit, but this made me crack up. Eric, I'll send you the unedited version, but it starts out by saying, "My ass is a mother bleeping subwoofer."
Now wait a minute. You got yelled at already for saying that word too much. Now you
True.
said it again. But I guess your excuse is it's in the story. So
Yes, and I beeped out what would take us over the TV-14.
correct.
So my anus is a bleeping subwoofer. We've been dating for almost a year now, and every time I have to fart, I go to the bathroom and close myself in. But when I let loose the earth shaker, I'm sure she can hear it through the walls. My smell is usually not too bad. It's just deafeningly loud.
All sound, no fury.
I want to let my intestinal tuba play freely. Brady needed to be here for this one. But I just don't know how she would take it. All I want to do is enjoy a movie with her after enchilada night and not have to interrupt every 10 minutes for a trip to the bathroom for my colon concert.
Did Brady write this?
It sounds like he could have. How do I know when it would be okay for me to rip some heavy metal ass around her? Yes.
You really
Again,
didn't read
we
that
are 10
beforehand.
years old, people. We
Yes,
just
yes.
deal with it. So Eric, what say you?
Well, and
That was well written. That was
that was outstandingly written. I am of the belief, and we have had this conversation before, that I don't believe, and maybe people out there are different than me. I don't believe that I could marry someone that I could not do that in front of. I think intimate's the wrong word, I guess, but it feels as though not like you're cheating on somebody, but you're holding something back.
Literally.
Literal. If you can't live your life with your significant other, and part of living life is things such as.
We had this question on the last episode. What was it, like 15,000 a year, or what? I forget what the number was. Something crazy like that.
It was a crazy number.
So think about that. 15,000 a year, keeping
15,000 trips to the bathroom.
Yes.
Me, I believe I would be in the bathroom more than I would be out. That's the problem. I did that on purpose. Caught him mid-drink. Although I don't say anything that's untrue.
That's why I laugh so hard. All right, so yes, we sometimes we deal with uncomfortable topics on this podcast. So
that's right.
It's life.
We're here to serve.
Yes.
Howard says is it okay, or it is okay only if you can no longer blame it on the dog. Matt says, I say do a butt burp.
Nice alliteration.
3 dates and see how they react.
What, Matt? What if the reaction is to return said butt burp?
Then she's a keeper. Blaming the dog is the gateway to getting to this point, according to Gary. Good
points.
Correct.
And everybody else is like, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah. The other 18 people or 17 people in the room say no. Not going to chime in on that. Todd, you asked for my input.
You and I are in agreement here, Eric. That is a hell of a way to live, to be all shut up and shut in and
held back.
Now, do I think that there is some couth that could be practiced? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Yes, I do. And even I will get perturbed by gas from time to time from other people. I am not a fan of people that I'm with doing the old elevator trick, the elevator. Because here's why. Because I instantly think that anybody around is, I guess I have such low self-esteem that I think anyone around is automatically going to look right at me and say, that guy did it. So I just assume that I'm going to get the blame no matter what.
Or maybe you're not a good enough poker player and they just look at your face. And...
Yeah. Well, again, because I don't do that. Believe it or not, I don't do that. I don't even do the whole in my classroom and blame it on my students thing. And I mean, that's a teacher's rite of passage there. And I don't even do that. But no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. You can't. I mean, the misery, and it goes both ways, I guess. I mean,
and I'm just going to go there. Because it's just part of the conversation. And like I said, we've had this conversation before. To me, and again, like you said, we're 10 to 12 years old in our minds, just the way it is. To me, that can never not be funny.
Yeah, we've said that before. That's when life truly ends.
Yeah, and when you do not find that humorous, I would say you should re-examine your life.
Well, let me say this, because we don't want to insult our listeners.
No.
If you've never found it humorous, I can buy that.
That's one thing.
But if you feel that you're too old to find that humorous, we're going to fight it out. Yeah, because Age is just a number.
That's right. Howard says if she responds with a butt burp, she's a keeper, not a match made in heaven. We all know that matches a deflatulence are a deadly combination. Yeah.
I still think it's funny that everybody shies away from chiming in on. They chime in all night long when everything else, and like they won't. So sorry, I brought the uncomfort, discomfort, I should say.
And I hate to call anybody out. I'm guessing Joey doesn't care. I figured Joey would be all over that one. I thought he might chime in. But Matt says, as long as it's not a shark.
Well,
and Gary says, this too shall pass.
I do have a. Never mind. I won't read that one. I do have one of those that is about a shart. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say we're an hour and a half in. Do we want to do our third?
Let's do our third. Not only that, I don't know that I could clean this one up enough. Literally, no pun intended. I don't know that I could clean the shart one up enough to read it publicly.
All right. Before we get into topic number 3, which is our earbud, ask the earbuds, or the earbuds ask the host, I guess. Do want to bring your attention once again to our website and our isms, which if you're wondering what some of the terms we use on the air here, those are our isms on our website, and we can again show those to you here. If you go to the website in the menu up in the top, it says isms. And this is what you see. Our isms are best viewed in landscape mode on a mobile device. But if you scroll down through there, it is a glossary of our show and usury, which we talked about the use. Am I the use? Earbud Kyle King came up with the word usury, the term usury. Negative, mean-spirited, jerkish, or just plain idiotic actions by a person that have rendered them as having the same qualities as an anus. So, usury would be said term. So if you want to see those isms, go to the website and click on the isms on the menu. All right, earbuds. And we've already had 2 chime in on from our audience as to topics we could discuss here. And the first one, I don't know if we go 20 minutes on any of these, but we'll answer a few here. If you have any, chime in the comments, and we'll give our input. And, of course, the audience can as well. Ms. Wilson asked, what are the best bumper stickers you have ever seen?
Eric? Of course, we asked the audience to give us a good topic, and then I draw a blank. I draw a blank with the very first one. Yeah, stumped right off the bat. Maybe Miss Wilson could chime in and get us started. Get us.
So now I'm doing a search.
You done?
Doing a search of bumper stickers?
Yeah, bumper stickers. Best bumper stickers of all time. Caution, this vehicle makes frequent stops at your mom's house.
Again,
the old
we are
mom
12
joke.
years old, yes.
Yes, we are. I beat up the 5 hippies, and all I got was this lousy bus on a Volkswagen bus.
I have seen the my kid beat up your honor student, that kind of thing. I've seen a lot of those. Right. Here's one that says, help, Dad farted and we can't get out.
That's a good one.
Here's one for you dachshund lovers. I trip over my wiener.
And again, we are 12 years old. Here's one. I tell you to go to hell, but I work there and I don't want to see you every day. For those who don't like their workplace.
Speak of the honor, I was an honor student. I don't know what happened. I like that one.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I am so non-observant. My wife gives me a hard time about that all the time. I'm directionally challenged. I don't observe. I'm usually thinking about something and not paying attention. So nothing stands out as far as just funny bumper stickers that I've seen.
Here's a good one. Marriage is grand. Divorce is 100 grand.
So here's a side kind of direction for the bumper sticker. And again, if Miss Wilson, I would love for her to chime in and share some funny bumper stickers that she has seen, or anyone actually in our audience. But are bumper stickers kind of going away? Like, do you feel bumper stickers are going away now that, first off that,
Well, they have magnets now.
Yeah,
People have magnets.
Yeah.
Well, she does chime in. One I saw in an Adams County car. I got a Harley for my wife. Good deal, wasn't it? Matt says he's totally anti-bumper sticker. And Ms. Wilson says, I believe in a better world where chickens can cross the road without having their motives questioned.
Nice.
That is nice.
So there's a funny story about chickens. Today, my partner at work, she was talking about how her students were blown away by the fact that how does she put it? That they were backwards on the whole egg turning into a chicken thing. Like they were backwards with it.
Yeah.
Like they didn't realize that an egg, if left alone and not gone through the process, it would eventually become a chicken.
Right.
They thought that chicken was turned into yolk. And I just thought that was hilarious and a bit creepy.
Very creepy.
So just yolk is just like, I guess, a chicken that was heated up too much.
Howard has one bumper sticker. The difference in marital arts and martial arts is where you put the L. Or is that the?
It's the I, right?
The
is
I.
The I?
Yeah.
The
It
difference
would have to be I.
It would have to be I, yeah, because there's.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that's deep and philosophical.
That is, yes. It took us a second. We couldn't even figure out whether it was an L or an I. That's how undeep and that's how shallow and non-philosophical we are.
Miss Wilson, I've got a perfect body, but it's in the trunk and beginning to smell.
Always appreciated Miss Wilson's dark humor. Always, it was.
The old serial killer bumper sticker. We gotta love that. All right. Joey chimed in here. Make your third topic famous celebs who died at the age of 27. Of course, that's an age-old topic there. Of course, you have Jim Morrison. You have Janis Joplin.
You have Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain, yes. Was River Phoenix? Was he 27? No, I think he was younger now.
He was close, wasn't he? Who'd you say so far?
Well, you said Kurt Cobain. I said Jim Morrison and
Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix, correct.
What was Keith Moon? Keith Moon was older, wasn't he?
I think he wasn't. I gotta do a search.
Yeah, we could search it. 27 Club.
All right, we've got Brian Jones.
Huh.
Didn't know that. Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, and they were all between 69 and 71.
Amy Winehouse. Forgot about her.
Yeah,
I forgot about her, that she was 27.
Let's see.
Who? This is going to sound a bit morbid, I guess, or a bit I don't know.
Jonathan Brandis, actor.
Yeah. Out of those, who would have affected you more? Who affected you more? And not, I mean, obviously you weren't alive. We weren't alive when. But as far as I don't know. I guess who do you enjoy out of those, as far as their art, their music, the most?
Honestly, I mean, I think Jimi Hendrix, to me, is the most talented. I think, and I'm probably going to get lambasted by someone in the audience for this, but I believe Jim Morrison was a bit overrated.
Oh yeah, you won't get lambasted by me.
Janis Joplin. Janis Joplin was unique for the time as far as female singers, I believe. I think she was kind of a trailblazer of sorts. Do I feel that she was an outstanding singer? Not really. Again, I may get lambasted for that, but I think as far as overall talent, I think Hendrix probably of those.
Yeah, I'm with you partially. Hendrix would definitely be my first on that list. And the interesting thing about Hendrix is it took me. It was kind of like Robin Williams humor for me.
Yeah.
Robin Williams humor was not funny to me until I got a certain age.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it hit me in the face like a ton of bricks. And I'm like, my God, that's kind of the way. I think I've heard that same thing said or something similar from other people as well. Jimi Hendrix was the same way for me. It was, and I played guitar for several years. I'd been playing, before I really got Jimi Hendrix, and then I realized how great he was. And what I think a lot of people don't realize, and I'm going to geek out here a little bit, is the fact that he did what he did without, modern, studio quality, modern, of course, that's also, some would say, I guess that's why he was so great, because he was not a, pristine musician. And I definitely agree with the Jim Morrison. I'm not a fan of the Doors, but I would disagree with the Janis Joplin. I do think she's a fantastic singer. When you remove everything else, and this is going to sound mean, I guess, and I don't mean this like in a negative way, like talking about her physical looks or anything, but I think when you remove the character of Janis Joplin and just listen to the voice, I become more impressed. She was so dominated by her character and the fact that she was half looped all the time as far as drunk and drugged up, but as far as just her voice, and I didn't really get it. I always liked Joplin. I liked her hit songs, I should say. But then Say and I went a few years back to Aronoff downtown, and we saw, it was a one-night show. It was just called Joplin or Janis Joplin or whatever. And Mary Bridges, I can't think of her name, but she was actually nominated. What are the theater awards? Tony. She was a Tony nominated actress for this part, and that was fantastic. And at that point, then I'm like, okay, I really kind of started appreciating her more. But other than that, I agree with you. I was not a big Amy Winehouse fan, and not a big Nirvana fan as far as Kurt Cobain. And
well, maybe Matt said what he said just to piss you off too. He said just piss off Eric. I'll say Kurt.
Well, Matt knows that he and I disagree about that too. Matt is obviously Matt is a super talented musician and great friend of mine, but he doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to Nirvana. So,
and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Janis Joplin was not very talented. I don't know that if I compare her to some other female singers, I think she was a trailblazer because she was the first to be like her. But if you compare her to female singers who are like her now over the course of that history, I don't know that she's outstanding, if that makes sense.
Well, and her stylistically, it's, it's just I think it's just a lot of people don't like her style too. It's not a pristine, it's not a clean, it's not an Ann Wilson.
Right.
And
I'm not a blues guy. I don't, and she was very bluesy. And maybe that's just a personal preference of mine. But on the other hand, I would say Jimi Hendrix, you can compare him to any guitar player over the course of history, and he's outstanding. So I guess that's where the difference is in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But Miss Wilson does say Hendrix wasn't the best vocalist, musician. Yes, I had a music prof who really went on and on about Joplin, talk about the blues. And again, I think that's part of my personal preference. I'm not very bluesy.
Yeah,
like
you definitely.
Whenever I hear Stevie Ray Vaughan, I turn it off. I can't handle it.
Well, you definitely have to have that vibe. Now, and I from another standpoint, I always judge it by is Yeah, Brian Jones of the Stones.
Yeah.
Another thing to judge it by also is you don't hear a lot of female singers pulling off Janis and doing a very good job. To me, that there's something to that too.
Right.
And it doesn't mean it's good. I mean, it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean it's somebody's cup of tea, but it does kind of speak to a unique.
It's unique.
Yeah.
All right. Earbuds, any other topics you'd like us to touch on here? We're kind of, I guess, doing mini topics for our third.
Many topics.
Many. Yes. So we talked about the 27 Club. Joey brought that one up from Square Table Degenerates, by the way. He gets a lot of good interviews. If you look at Square Table Degenerates podcast on YouTube, he gets a lot of interesting people. I don't know that if we ever went the interview route, that I would even know how to get some of these more famous people to come on and talk to us, or if they would. But,
if anyone knows anyone famous or used to be famous or
infamous,
yeah, set us up, hook us up.
Howard says Janis Joplin was one of the best screamers ever. That's true. So that was part of her shtick. Anything else, earbuds? If not, we may just call it an evening. We are an hour and 45 in. But,
yeah, we thought we would actually pull up short on this one with only 2 hosts tonight, but
we're windier
than
we thought. All right, well, I'll do some more housekeeping here at the end, but if something else comes up, we can certainly touch upon it in this few more seconds. Again, we do want to invite you to the website, www.playbyyourpodcast.com. You can find our audio and video feeds, and I'll put some of those things up here. We are on most all audio platforms, including Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeart, all those things, among many others. So if you want the audio version, those come out on Friday morning at 3 a.m. because we want to get the people going to work on Friday morning so they can listen to the audio. But I do want to bring something up here real quick and made me think of this. Tomorrow is April Fool's Day, and we are part of a thing called Operation Switcheroo in a way to celebrate April Fool's Day. And we have partnered up with another podcast, and actually there were several podcasts now got kind of paired off, and we are actually going to release an episode of another podcast on our audio feed tomorrow. And that podcast is releasing one of our audio podcasts on their feed. So we're trying to kind of drum up some audience for each. And again, it's kind of an April Fool's sort of thing. And so if you see something come out tomorrow, give it a shot. It's called Your Brain on Facts. So give it a listen. It's about 30-some minutes. But,
and Eric, didn't we pick an episode?
We did pick one of our episodes to send over their way. So the Your Brain on Facts podcast will be releasing our episode 6, I believe is the one I sent over to them. So early on in our catalog, but one of our more listened to episodes. Again, we're just trying to build up some audience for each of us. And
so
let's give it a listen.
In honor of that, we could ask our earbuds to, if you haven't listened to episode 6 in our back catalog, please go check it out. Right. Tell us what you think. If you have listened to it, check it out again. Maybe you'll find something new this time that you missed. Yep. And I think more importantly, share it.
Right.
Share that episode, and maybe that'll be the episode that sticks and gets people to start listening.
But the whole list of audio and video can be found there at the website, right on the top of the page. You can look on each side of the page and see the audio and the video feeds, which, again, the video includes YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope through Twitter. We're on audio and video on all those things. All right, we do have one more question here. Miss Wilson chimes in. What was your first concert, best concert?
Wow.
I can tell you my first one was Bon Jovi's Cinderella, 1987. My best one? I mean, I don't know which Styx concert I should bring up. I guess probably saw them on the Return to Paradise tour in 1996. Actually saw a few of those shows, but that was the last time I saw them with Dennis DeYoung, which, not that I don't like Lawrence Gowan, but sticks with Dennis DeYoung to me. I mean, they have the whole catalog there. I mean, they both do their thing now, and they both do their thing well. But together, you get the whole catalog, and you get the original people, or quasi-original people, the most famous lineup, I guess. So probably a Styx concert from 1996-ish or 1997-ish would be one for me, my best.
Wow. I'm trying to remember my first. I can't pick a best. I really can't. My first it was either Skinnerd, Tesla, and Driving and Crying, and I guess would have been about 93, 92, somewhere around there. Or that, or the it was like a big like rib cook-off thing, and we saw Cheap Trick, Survivor. I can't remember who else.
It was one of
those were around the same time. But anyway, I think it was Skinnerd and Tesla. I think Tesla opened for Skinnerd, and this would have been again early 90s. So Skinnerd got back together in 87, 88, around there after the plane crash. And so this would have been still most of like the originals that returned, obviously the ones that were alive. So they were really, really solid. Actually, they're
headlined by Artemis Pyle.
Yeah.
I love that name. I just wanted to say it.
Yeah, drummer. Of course, now when you see Skinner, there's only one original member, sadly, but they're still awesome. Anyway, picking a best, I just can't, man. You got your best as far as like just overall show, like just.
Yeah, there's showmanship and there's like the music part. I mean, it's kind of a hard way to answer.
It is. As far as bands that just put on one of the best shows you'll see, pound for pound, Night Ranger. Night Ranger and the thing about Night Ranger is like they could do what every band does from that era. Not every band, I shouldn't say. I mean, Styx really puts them still on a good show. REO still, but Night Ranger,
they're all still original, aren't they?
Night Ranger is, I don't believe. No, the second guitarist isn't. The second guitarist came from Alice Cooper and a few other guys. But anyway,
but the main guys are
the main guys are Jack
Blades.
But anyway, they are a band who they do not rest on their laurels. They get better and better. The older they get better. And it's funny because they add to every show. They add new little nuances and things like that. Metallica. I can't remember what tour it was, but it was where they kind of like made it look like the arena was falling apart. Like lights started falling and people started falling from the ceiling and fires started and you really thought for it, because I had no idea that it was all staged. I thought we were getting ready to. I thought it was going to be another Who. Well, I thought it was going to be like another Who type incident, because everybody in the audience is like looking at each other like, do we run? And, like there's a fire and a guy just fell off like a rope ladder and stuff. And then it turns out it was all staged and all fake. So, I mean, as far as just spectacle, that was good. I don't know. I'm geeking out. I know I'm rambling and geeking out. Miss Wilson, that will cause me to geek out for hours. So, but you stumped me because I can't pick a best.
And a few from the audience chime in, and this is interesting. Howard worked at WLEX-TV in Lexington with Bob Hale. He was the MC who flipped the coin to decide who rode the bus and who got on the plane at the winter dance party in Clear Lake, Iowa, the day the music died. So we were talking about Buddy Holly earlier. The guy flipped the coin. How do you live with that?
Well, he flipped the coin, but Waylon Jennings is the one who. Well, Waylon Jennings gave up his seat. Car. Yeah, he gave up his seat, and I know it.
Well, he was sick, right? In that story, he was feeling sick, and that's why he didn't.
Something that or the other guy. Well,
or someone else.
Richie Valens was sick. He because he wouldn't fly otherwise. He was sick. Yeah. But yeah, Waylon Jennings, who obviously passed away now, but I know I'd seen interviews with him and read stories where he talked about how that really kind of stayed with him the rest of his life. Sure. But you're right, he wasn't the coin flip. This Howard's talking about a different person. He flipped with Buddy, I guess.
Right. But Matt says his first was David Lee Roth when he was 16.
Nice.
Howard's first was the Osmonds at the Ohio State Fair way back in the 70s. Best Garth Brooks. And Miss Wilson saw school-sponsored Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes, and they were surprised when they said testes instead of testing. And her best, Shine Down at Bogart's. Loves it. Very inspirational, great book.
Yes, I agree, Miss Wilson. I'm a Shine Down fan, and definitely their vocalist. I can't think of his name right now. I'm sure you know it, but one of the top vocalists around.
And finally, Matt Vaughn. Best was Guns N' Roses, which was at probably a later tour than their heyday, maybe it was one of their heyday tours in the late 80s, early 90s.
Actually, Matt saw them here this last tour that not the one that they scheduled before COVID. And is that the one you're talking about, Matt? Is that the one you're talking about, Matt? Because I know that you and SJ both said it was much better than what you guys had kind of thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. All right,
Eric. I gotta admit, Eric, going with you to see Boston with Brad Delp was pretty spectacular. What would that have been? 93 around there somewhere.
Around there somewhere. Yeah. It was a shame he couldn't get the high notes that he used to get.
No, he couldn't. But we were just surprised to see him because he wasn't supposed to be with them, and then we ended up seeing him twice. If you remember, we went to Columbus the next weekend or the next night or whatever and saw them.
Strike while the iron's hot. Right?
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you, audience. Appreciate the many topics there. And again, we appreciate all of your input and all of your support. You make us better than what we would be otherwise, as we always say. So with that, that is episode 54. Again, the audio version of this will come out on Friday morning. Video version is out there now. It'll be on YouTube and Facebook Live, and it'll be there in an archive mode from now. And by the way, Todd, there's your answer. Brent Smith is shining on front hand.
I'm terrible at names.
But we invite you to join us. Wednesday is our day generally. Wednesday at 7 for each of our live recordings. Spread the word about us. I know, and I'm afraid once we get into summer and people are outside doing things, it may be a little more difficult to conjure up an audience here on Wednesday nights. So, you can listen on your phones wherever you might be. If you're lounging out by the pool, you can listen to us there as well. So, anywhere you can listen, we certainly do appreciate it.
Definitely.
So, Todd, anything else?
Thank you, guys. Peace out.
And we should be Brady should be back with us next week.
The old Chuck Woolery.
Thanks for listening to the Play It By Ear podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter at Play It By Ear Pod 2, and our website at anchor.fm/Play It By Ear podcast. Thanks again, and join us next time as we play it by ear.